agenda is very jam-packed, so I'm going to make sure to be clear and concise, but we'll also be a little bit speedy. So if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box, and we'll make sure we have time to get to as many as possible. So we're going to talk about expanded text ads, or ETAs, as you may have heard them referred to. This is the new ad format that we have in the search results page. We're going to talk about Gmail ads, which are very cool. They've been revamped pretty recently, and some improved bid strategy and some kind of mishmash of different ways that the bid strategies have been approved and different techniques you can use. Some cool stuff there, as well as RLSA, which is remarketing lists for search ads. It sounds really boring, but it's actually very, very cool. So we will talk about that at the end. So with that, I want to start just by setting the stage with a Larry Page quote here, who's one of the co-founders of Google. And he had said, the perfect search engine should understand exactly what you mean and give you back exactly what you need. So this mission, this kind of statement in terms of what Google is striving to be, this hasn't changed since Google started. This is always what Google's been about. Google's mission from the start has been to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And I did not read that. I have it memorized because we are so all about that. Everything we do goes back to that core cause. So essentially what this means for you is hooking you up, the UODs, any of your vision care, up with potential patients. So making sure that they can find you and you can find them, and we're creating value that way. So really, really good stuff. Now, just to explain why this is so huge, why this is so important, why this is a crucial place to be if you're not there already, is we see over 100 billion searches every month. That is a crazy number of searches. So 100 billion plus searches happening every single month. What's more surprising is that a whopping 15% of those searches, of the searches we see on a daily basis, we have never seen before. They are unique. We have never seen anyone search them before, every single day, 15%. That is a huge number of searches. So the reason I bring this up is, severalfold. One is that this just shows you how quickly things are changing. The giveaway today is very apt, the Google Home. This is changing how people are searching because the, different assistants, OK Google, that is changing how, people are actually, they're not typing things in the search box anymore, they're actually speaking them, so it's becoming more semantic. Also, if we're baffled at Google by 15% of these billions of searches that are coming in every day, then I can't even imagine how difficult that is to stay nimble and keep up with this as an advertiser, as a small business. So that's why we rely on people like our partners and why we like to do sessions like this to make sure everyone is as educated as possible so you can be as successful as possible on the Google products. And another big change and a big theme that you're going to be seeing is mobile. So shouldn't come as any surprise, more than half of all searches are now done on a mobile device. We are constantly connected, and this is the primary means of gathering information for a large number of people. So we're seeing a lot of searches on mobile, more than desktop, and we're actually seeing people become more comfortable actually converting on mobile, whatever that might mean. It might mean, a form fill to your business. It might mean them calling to set an appointment. So people are getting more comfortable on mobile, so we have to take that into account. And with that mobile, that's a perfect segue to ETAs, or expanded text ads. Expanded text ads were really built for the mobile-first world. So what they are, this is kind of an overview, so you can see just visually what the difference is. On the left there, you'll see the before. This is standard text ads. You are no longer able to create standard text ads in AdWords. You can only create expanded text ads. Now, the text ads on the left, the standard text ads, these can still be running in your account, but you just can't create them or edit them anymore. So this is an important point. They will go away and be replaced with expanded text ads completely, but for now they can still be running, but you can't make any changes to them or create new ones. So expanded text ads are the future, and they're the single biggest change we've seen in terms of the ad structure of AdWords since its inception. So what's the big deal? What's the difference? Well, there's really three key differences that I want to point out. One is, of course, there's more ad copy, there's more room. So we see 50% more ad copy in both the description line and also the title lines, or the headers there. And you can see that the headline is now actually two headlines separated by that dash. So before you only had one headline to work with, now there's actually two and an expanded description line for you. That's one change. The second, which I think is really cool, is if you see the URL there where this is actually linking to. So in this case, in the standard text ad, it's example.com/New York. Now this is very vague, and before it was just kind of pulled out of whatever your, the base of your URL was. And if you guys remember, you can't really monkey with that. You had to just put in whatever that URL was, that's what was going to show up in the display URL. But now that base still the same holds true for that base, so www.example.com, but now when you're actually creating the expanded text ads, you can fill in whatever you want in up to 2 spaces, kind of appending that URL. So New York City and budget are 2 different areas that you can actually fill in yourself. So where people are pointing, the website doesn't actually have to say this, but it's just another way to utilize space in the ads and make the ad even more relevant. So that is pretty cool change. And the last thing that's changed is the fact that these are mobile first. So before, with the standard text ads, you had to worry sometimes about truncation of the ad. So sometimes you would have an ad and it would get cut off on a mobile device. And so you had to create mobile preferred ads for mobile, and you had to have like at least one in every ad group. There's all these best practices and different ways to set them up. That's no longer an issue. Expanded text ads are mobile first. So they work just perfectly on mobile devices as well as desktop and tablet. Okay, so why do you guys care? You're like, that's really cool. Actually, it's a little bit boring. Why do I care? Well, you care for a few reasons. One is that you have more control now. So you have more control in terms of that clear landing page and adding those URL kind of appendages at the end of the URL. You have more room to work with, so there's longer creative messaging. You can get more into the actual ad. You can do more with the real estate. And the ads are bigger. They get, to the next point, a much higher click-through rate. Okay, so up to 20% increase in click-through rate over the existing standard text ads. Why is this important? Click-through rate is something that's thrown around a lot, but it's really crucial that we have a high click-through rate on Google AdWords or any kind of pay-per-click medium, because with search, the higher the click-through rate, the better your quality score is, or the more relevant Google sees the ad as. And what this is going to do is Google is going to reward you for being relevant, because we're in the business of helping people find exactly what they're looking for, and they're actually going to lower your cost per click. So this means that with expanded text ads, you're getting the message out there more clearly, but also it's less expensive because people are clicking on them more often. And of course, it's mobile optimized, so you don't have to worry about any of the special ads for mobile. It all just works on all devices. Pretty cool. Let's get into a few best practices around creating expanded text ads. So this is really important, is make sure that you're not just tacking on another headline or taking the standard text ads that you already have and just moving them over to the ETAs or the expanded text ads. Make sure that you're actually rethinking your full ad creative. This is a great time to do this. So craft a message that really focuses on the user needs and benefits. So what is going to catch their attention? What's going to make their life better? Why do they care? Avoid generic stuff. I see a lot of times in ads, hey, come get an eye exam here. We're a family business and we have great customer service. Well, that's really generic. And a lot of times, if you're searching for, an optometrist or something of that sort, and you see something like that, that's not special, and it's going to kind of get lost in the message, because this is something that everybody uses. So be really specific on their needs and the benefits that you can provide to them. Make sure you're aware of that line break. This is something that is different, is having those 2 headlines. So as we saw before, it's separated by a dash. So we want to make sure that we have, two kind of clear messages and we're taking advantage of that space in a good way. Now, all of the same best practices for writing ads are the same. So if you're used to writing ads with the standard text ads, nothing has changed in terms of the best practices. So there is some of the best practices here. Don't use exclamation points. This can make your ad come down, and it also deters people because it looks spammy, so you're going to get that lower click-through rate. It's going to be more expensive. Include, though, any prices and savings. So if you have any special offers on particular eyewear, maybe you're running a promotion in terms of free exam or whatever it might be, this is a really good opportunity to showcase that. The more specific you can get with either numbers or percentages or deals that are timely, the better. This is really going to help catch people's attention. If you are, you're co-oping, or you have maybe Ray-Ban or some kind of eyewear that you're using, if you include things like official or the registered mark, that is really good for branded keywords and groups. That's good for making, letting people know that it actually is official. If you have any questions about like when you're supposed to use that stuff or any of the actual ad policies, the Google AdWords Help Center is very, very helpful in terms of this. They guide you through everything there, and I'm sure someone at Surefire would be happy to help you as well. And we want to make sure I mention this, but it's really important. We want to make sure we're thinking cross-device. So like I said, no more mobile preferred ads. These are unnecessary. So we want to make sure we understand that people are going to be seeing these ads on both desktop and mobile. That said, we can really easily create a separate ad, expanded text ads for just mobile or just desktop if we want to really drill home any specific messages to that platform. But we don't run into any of those issues, and we don't have to separate them if the message is the same. So very cool here. Now, this is really important and something that I've seen some missteps here, which is interesting, is ad extensions are still relevant and they're more important than ever. So we're seeing people, as they're switching over to expanded text ads, we're seeing them kind of leave off those ad extensions. That is problematic. We need to make sure we're keeping all of those ad extensions and knowing that all of those work exactly the same on expanded text ads. We do want to be careful that there is no overlap between our expanded text ads and our ad extensions, because if there is really clear duplication, they might not serve. So, of course, if you're just reiterating a point, or you're, saying your business name a couple times, that's okay, or maybe the location. But if it's really word for word duplication, that makes for a bad ad experience, and it might not serve those ads. So just be cautious of that. One question that I like to ask people is how many ad extensions should be enabled. And although it says you should aim for at least 4, the answer is you should have as many ad extensions enabled as are relevant to your business. So enable them all, save for maybe you don't want an app extension enabled because you don't have an app, but anything that's relevant, you want to make sure it's enabled. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about site links. So showing different, web pages on your site, contact us, or glasses, or eye exams, or about the doctor, whatever it might be. You want to make sure that you have site links, callouts, structured snippets. So these are just kind of highlights of either pages or key benefits or any specific products or services. If you want to know more about these, this is a whole other topic, and we can, talk about best practices there. But then having these in addition to some of the, more standard ones like location extension, call extension, possibly reviews or something like that. So keep using your ad extensions. They are more important than ever. And in addition to the ad extensions, how we want to make our ads even more relevant and even more enticing if we need to. And this is going to be, the example you see here is for a music venue, which is, of course, not the business you're in, but this might be something that you might want to look for if you're looking to, sell glasses or use something that's brand names. You can add either keyword insertion or ad customizers. And essentially what that is it's just a dynamic way for you to make sure that people are seeing exactly what it is they're typing. So if they're typing in, prescription Ray-Bans or something like that, you can actually have the title say prescription and then glasses, and then it'll fill in Ray-Ban. So it's just kind of dynamically inserting that, and this really helps with relevancy and click-through rates. This is something that, if applicable, is really cool to use. And this is a little bit dull, a little bit dry, but super, super important. We tried to make it a little more exciting with that weird picture on the right there. But ad rotation is extremely important, and it's extremely important to do it right. So in order to rotate, of course, the first step is creating multiple expanded text ads. So if you have an ad group and you've got maybe 3 different ads in that group, then if you go to ad rotation, our kind of knee-jerk response tends to be to rotate them evenly, but that's actually not the best way to do it, because if you rotate it evenly, you're kind of forcing some of those ads to show that might not be performing as well. If you optimize, even if you don't have conversion tracking turned on, which I recommend you do, because then you can see, what's actually leading to appointment setting and calls and all of that good stuff. But even if you don't have that set up, you can optimize. And what Google is going to do is Google is going to serve the ads that have a higher click-through rate and quality score more often than the other ads. So it's just going to start shifting the budget to those ads that are performing best. Why does this make sense? Well, because then it's going to decrease your costs and increase your ROI. If you're getting more conversions at a lower cost from a certain ad, you might as well serve that one a lot more than the other ones. So when you optimize the ad rotation based on your conversions or based on that click-through rate and quality score, you get a lot better performance. So really, really important. And finally, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing our ad groups by volume and value. So this is Pareto's principle here, and what he said, this is a principle that you guys, I'm sure you all know, even if you don't know it by name, but 20% of the input accounts for 80% of the output. So essentially we want to focus on that top 20%, which another way to say this is that the priority number 1 is going to be those high volume, high value keywords. This rocket science makes sense. If there's a lot of keywords that are worth a lot to you, we want to focus our efforts there and make sure that we really have a great message, we're A/B testing, and we're putting our budget there. Second, which is very good, but there's not as much opportunity because it's a low volume, but they're also high value. We want to focus on those keywords, which could be those very long tail keywords that are very specific. So really high value keywords, but not as much volume. Then the third priority is we want to focus on those high volume keywords that might be a little bit lower value. This just might mean that they're further back in the buying process. So maybe they're just kind of doing a little research on LASIK, or they're doing a little research on something that has to do with your business, but they're not actually ready to convert. So this is still a priority, but you should target that high value, low hanging fruit first. So segmenting your keywords in this way is really helpful. Now, to help you do this, you can use filters. If you guys run your AdWords yourself, you can go into AdWords and actually filter out the expanded text ads to see how they're performing, and that way you can get a better idea of how to prioritize. So you can see that right there, and that's just a good way to get a nice snapshot view of what's going on. So just a recap on this section of things, the ETAs. Really important, it's not just another headline. It's not just tacking on 50% more copy. We need to really rethink the ad creative and take advantage of the fact that you can redo the ads. Build for success, so make sure you're still using those ad extensions. You're using keyword insertion where it makes sense, customizers where it makes sense. Make sure you're rotating the ads, optimize for clicks or conversions or whatever you're looking for in terms of your business. So make sure that you are really optimizing and rotating and letting Google kind of do the heavy lifting for you. Prioritize your ad groups, so there is no reason you shouldn't separate out your kind of high volume, low value keywords and set lower bids on those, and just make sure you still have a presence, but you're not putting the majority of your money there. And then separating out those really high value keywords and making sure this is your focus. And then one thing I didn't mention, but I do want to just throw out there, is make sure you're monitoring your lost impression share due to budget. And this is something you can find in your AdWords report. And you can look at this on, keyword level, ad group level, campaign level, but you can basically see what percentage of the time are you showing up for those particular, whatever that keyword, that ad group, whatever it might be. And then you can see what are you losing because your budget is too low. So this is going to let you understand why maybe your ad's not appearing if you're, if someone's searching for you. And it's a good way to just get a gauge of how much more you could spend if you want to really dominate the market. So as an example, if you look at that and you see your impression share for the keyword, optometrist near me is 50%, then what that means is within the area you're targeting, that geographical area, you're only showing up 50% of the time for the people searching for optometrists near me. So that's like kind of not answering your phone or putting up a closed sign when people are trying to get into your business about half the time. So really important metric to look at. All right, with that, I'll pass it back over to you, Jen.
Thank you, Jessie. Okay, we're going to take a quick pause here for today's poll. So to pop up on your screen. As I mentioned earlier, we're offering a complimentary digital consultation for all of today's attendees, and that comes with a free Google Chromecast if you come out to your appointment. So what's the Google consult that I'm referring to? It's a marketing consult that's essentially a one-on-one session with a marketer, and it's focused on your needs and enables you to take full advantage of all the advanced insights that Jessie's sharing with you today. We'll help you put your practice on track for a robust 2017 and help you start generating a predictable flow of appointments for your practice. When you attend the consult, someone from the team at Surefire is going to help you identify missed opportunities across your online presence, all the places that the potential customers go to look for you. So if you just take a minute now, we've got about 60% who voted. Just answer the poll, let us know if you would like us to follow up with you with the marketing consult, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, or if you'd like to get both. And while we're waiting for everyone to take a chance to vote, I will address some of the questions that we have from the audience and pass these over to Jessie. Okay, so first question from Greg. Is there a way to ensure that a particular extension always shows my ad?
So that's a good question and one that I get often. And unfortunately, there's not a way to guarantee a particular extension to show. But what I can say is that Google is optimizing those extensions. So the ones that they're showing it because it's performing really well. So if an extension isn't showing, it's because it's not helping the ad, it's not helping the overall campaign. So if there's an extension you want to show and it's not showing, then I would just double check that that extension actually is set up the way it should be and it makes sense for the ad that you're actually running.
Another extensions question from Ayla. She'd like to know how Google decides which ones are performing best.
Okay, so that's a great follow-up question. So the way Google decides which ones are performing best, it's based on a lot of different, criteria. So it could be, we really focus a lot on click-through rate and quality score. So is it performing the best with this mix of extensions? Historically, has it performed best with that mix of extensions for this keyword? And when I say perform best, it has to do, did it get a lot of clicks? So are people seeing it as relevant? And how does this factor into the quality score when the ad extensions are factored in?
Okay, that's great. I think we can turn back to your presentation now. If you have more questions, just keep sending them, and we'll have Q&A later on during the presentation at the end.
Fantastic. And I just want to, make sure to reiterate, please, if you guys can take advantage of the complimentary marketing consult. I always think it's a good idea to hear from professionals about your website, your online presence in, specifically, because then you can compare it to either what you're currently doing or what you could be doing, and it's free information. Plus, the Chromecast is not a bad little addition. but do take advantage of the minds and the technology that you have with Surefire. It doesn't mean you have to do anything. This is, no strings attached. I just think it's a really good idea for small businesses to take advantage of things like this when they can. So highly encouraged. All right, let's dive back in. We're going to talk about Gmail ads. Now, Gmail ads are really exciting because, like a lot of Google's, all of Google's solutions, we have huge reach. This is no exception with Gmail. Gmail has 1 billion monthly active users across the globe, so 1 billion people, that's a lot of opportunity to reach people, so we have this huge reach. And the thing that's exciting about huge reach, which you'll see when we talk about the targeting options, is it allows us to get more granular with our targeting and still be able to, have enough people to actually tap into. So we can get specific with people's, interests, or if they're in market for something, or, if you have an email list. So we'll talk about that, but reach allows us to target better. What we do with Gmail ads, so just kind of generally, is we use signals unique to the email environment to match your message that's in the ad to the right people. And this is, at the right time. So we're going to talk about some of these signals, but this email environment is super important because it is very, very effective to reach people right in their inbox. It's effective not only because of where it is and how prominent it is, but when they actually do click open that ad, and you only pay when they actually click and see this stuff, this is where you can build really engaging experiences. You can have videos, forms, you can have different, buttons or inventory or different places that they can go. But when you build these engaging experiences, we can see, A, what was the click-through rate, so how many people actually clicked to open the ad, and B, how many people actually went a step further and engaged with your website and, took advantage of what showed in these really engaging ads. You may have seen these before if you have Gmail. In the desktop version, you're going to see a couple of ads there at the top of the promotions or social tabs. And you can see what that looks like right there. And then on the phone, you can see what the ad looks like on top of the regular emails in those tabs as well. Now, this is important because these are very visible ads, but they're also clearly ads, so it's a great way to ensure that people aren't clicking accidentally. So a lot of really good intent with these ads. The clicks tend to lead to conversions at a higher rate than normal display ads. So we've seen really, really great results from Gmail ads. And as I said, you're only charged when someone chooses to engage. So this is what it looks like when they actually expand that. You can see here it's just a line of text, kind of like a normal email, and when they click on it, it expands to this. And they have that great offer, that visual that takes up the entire phone or the entire screen of your laptop or tablet. So really nice, engaging, dynamic creative there in kind of a display format. But this is all managed directly through AdWords, so you get that really clear transparency in terms of how it's performing. So Gmail ads can do kind of two different things. One is it can re-engage your leads or your customers, and two is you can actually find new customers with it. So in terms of re-engaging leads and customers, you can use, if you have a current email list, you can actually upload that to AdWords, and AdWords will scrub it and match it with people in our ecosystem who have Gmail ads, who have Gmail, and they can get those ads. And then you can either say, I want to re-engage these folks, or you can say, I want to exclude them and only target brand new people, so you don't waste money if it's a message about come try out our service or free first time consultation or whatever it might be. But that being said, you can also find new customers. So if you don't have an extensive email list, that is not a problem. You can target people based on a lot of different factors that we're going to talk about in just a minute here. So why is this so crucial? Gmail ads are really exciting, and they're really important because we know that traditional email marketing is really good. It drives a strong ROI. We know this. We can see that email ROI is huge, especially compared to some of these other sources, and it also has a very low cost per acquisition. It tends to be a really good direct response mechanism because you can add an offer or something that's really engaging. So this is important, but the problem that we have is the deliverability issue. So 1 in 5 emails never make it to the intended recipient because of spam folders, because of people opting out, because of all different barriers that can, block from the time you send the email to the actual inbox. So this is why Google Gmail ads are really important, because they have all of those benefits of the email ads, but there is not that deliverability issue. So I'm going to go back to the re-engaging and the finding new customers. In terms of re-engaging, I said you can upload your email marketing lists in AdWords. And what you can do is you can segment those lists if you have enough people, if it makes sense. You can segment those lists to people who have not, haven't engaged with you before, people who have, engaged but haven't taken any action, or people who have engaged with you and have purchased and are loyal customers. So you can have different messaging depending on, who they kind of are in your list and what kind of customers they are. And in addition to that is you can expand this list of customers. So if your list is not that big, you can use this lookalike algorithm that we have. We call it customer match or similar audience. Sorry, lots of terms. So similar audience, what it's going to do is it's going to take that list of your audience, of the people, your patients, the people that are your bread and butter, the people that really engage with you and are, deliver you that strong ROI, and it's going to find people who behave similar to your current patients. And those people are more likely to convert because they have similar characteristics. This doesn't have to be from your email list. This can also be from your Google Analytics, or your, if you have people who are coming to your site, you can also, I know you guys know about remarketing, you guys can remarket to them, but you can also use that list and find these, these similar audiences and kind of expand your remarketing list for a really lot higher ROI, more engagement. We'll talk a little bit more about remarketing when we get to the remarketing lists for search ad section, but really important, the fact that you can expand this really key set of people, of patients that you have in your sphere. Now, you can also target, new patients, not just looking at, lists that you currently have or people that are visiting your site. You can also look at people based on demographic information. So if there's a specific demographic that you really work well with, you can target them that way. Or maybe psychographic information, are they a homeowner, what's their household income, and then purchase intent. So, maybe they are doing a lot of research on specific things, or maybe they're really into fashion, who use a new pair of glasses, whatever it might be, you can actually target this way. But we can get even more specific. When you're acquiring new customers, you can choose from a lot of different targeting methods. Sometimes it's difficult to know which targeting methods to use, but my recommendation is always to do a few, see what's performing, and you can kind of shift as needed. But we have things like keywords. So are there people searching for, keywords related to your business? Specific domains. So are there websites out there that are related to something that you think would be of interest to your services? Are they in market? I'm going to talk about in market and affinity for a second here, because these two get confused a lot. But if someone is in market, it means that they're actually ready to purchase. So they're ready to call you, they're ready to set an appointment. And this is based on a lot of different signals that we have. So there's this bucket of people that are in market, and they don't stay there very often, or they don't stay there very long, because as soon as we stop seeing those signals of them being ready to purchase or ready to set an appointment, then we move them out of that in-market bucket. This is different than affinity, because these folks in the affinity categories just kind of, it's not as strong. So they're showing that they have an interest maybe in, fashionable eyewear, but it's not strong enough to show that they actually have that purchase intent. So, and again, with affinity, they can move out of that bucket if we see them shifting. It's really important. And we can also layer this with gender, device, language, etc. So we can get really sophisticated with our targeting. And of course, with Gmail ads, like any other types of advertising, you want to be really careful that you have specific creative, specific targeting depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's build awareness or actually drive appointments. Whatever your goal is, make sure that your creative and your targeting is kind of set to complement that. So an awareness campaign is going to be much different in these factors, in the bids, in the key metrics you're looking at, in the targeting, in the creative, than say, a really a campaign that's looking for more of those appointments. So you guys will get this if you ask for the deck. So I'm not really going to belabor that because I want to get to the last couple things, which are really exciting. So bid strategies. This is pretty straightforward, but I just want to make sure you know, you guys are aware that flexible bid strategies, automated bidding solutions, these are improving every single day. So we have this powerful algorithm that's only getting more and more powerful because we're focusing on these three things. Flexibility. So we want to make sure that you can be flexible in terms of how you're setting your bids and what your goals are. So you can assign different strategies, different bid strategies to specific keywords, ad groups, campaign. This doesn't have to be in line with how the hierarchy of your campaign or how it's set up. It just is, we want to make sure that whatever you're doing, it's, you're able to use the system very flexibly to make sure that with a lot of flexibility so that you can make sure you're tackling all those needs in the right way. And we want you to have more control. So we want to make sure that you have, if you want bid limits when you are targeting return on ad spend or something like that, you can have really a lot of control into what you're doing. And on top of it, you're getting really transparent reporting. So these are the three things that we shoot for. And with this, we've done a lot of algorithm improvements in terms of the automated bidding. So things like a lot stronger location signals. So understanding a lot better where people are, which of course again leads to better click-through rate, better ROI. Stronger RLSA signals. So this is that remarketing list for search ads, which I'm going to talk about in one sec here. And new mobile app signals. So lots of different things that we're launching across the board, keeping in mind those three key things here: flexibility, control, and reporting. So the algorithms are just getting stronger and stronger with automated bidding. So I highly recommend you let Google do the heavy lifting there. We're also, this has been launched before. You had one target cost per acquisition for all different devices. Now you can actually set those separately across the different devices here. So really important in terms of flexibility. Local listings, we get a lot of questions on this, so we preempted with a couple slides here. How do I show up on maps when people are searching on maps or searching on businesses with location kind of specific keywords? And the answer is these local listings. So how do you show up there? You can see the ad on the top there on the mobile, and then on the maps on the right. How do you show up? It's really easy, 2 steps. Just enable location extensions for your AdWords account, and then make sure that your Google My Business listing is set up and linked and correct. And then from there, you want to use location targeting. You want to bid by location, increase those bids so you have a better chance of showing up for those ads, and optimize for those more location-based keywords. Really important there. Okay, and then the final topic that we'll cover in the next few minutes here, then I want to make sure there's plenty of time to find out who won the home and Q&A, is remarketing lists for search ads, or RLSA. What is it? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I know this looks complicated, but essentially we're looking at existing AdWords targeting criteria. So you're running a search campaign. You're looking at the different devices, languages, location, keywords, maybe you're day parting, but you have this criteria already set up. Now, you add remarketing lists for search ads, you're basically saying, okay, who are people that have visited my site before? Let me give them a special message when they search for one of these keywords that are related to my business again, and potentially let me bid up on that ad, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more to engage with these folks. So this is how it works. When someone visits your site, so you have to have a pixel placed on your site. This is, easy line of code or through Google Tag Manager, which I recommend. Then someone comes to your site and they are added to this audience list or this remarketing list of visitors. From there, you can do a typical remarketing campaign, which is where you're going to reach back out to them when they're browsing on other websites. So this is your standard display remarketing or retargeting. But you can use that same list for RLSA. And that list, you're able to target people who visited your site before, who are searching for the keywords that are that you're bidding on in your Google AdWords search campaign. And then you're able to either increase your bid and say these are worth a lot more to me, or tailor that messaging. So why would you do this? Why would you be willing to pay more? Because they're not all created equal. So yes, everybody that visits your site, they're these dollar bills. They're all familiar. It's great. They're engaged in whatever that keyword is. But the people who visited your site before are more likely to convert. So we might spend, we might increase the bid by 20% if they've been to our site before, maybe by 50% if they've actually contacted us before but they didn't convert. So we can segment them that way. So really, really important to make sure that you understand that not all searchers are created equal. So RLSA allows you to do this. It allows you to target them more specifically and pay a little bit more for them because they are more likely to convert. And the cool thing about this is with remarketing, there's one tag that powers them all. So with search remarketing, the RLSA that we just talked about, with display, that standard, display remarketing, it's just one tag. So we're creating that list, and then we can reach back out to them in a lot of different ways, on mobile, on video, all of these different things. The cool thing is that if you want to see what your ROI would be, and you're like, I don't want to increase my investment on AdWords right now, but I do want to see if this is something that would improve my ROI, you can do what's called the zero risk RLSA strategy. And all that means is you go into AdWords and you just opt into RLSA, and all that's going to do is it's going to start creating that list. Okay? So it's going to start creating that list, and then you can see in AdWords, would that group perform better than, as compared to everyone else who's searching for you. And if you see that it's performing better and you're getting more conversions, then that's when you can go ahead and bid up on that audience. So highly recommend that you just opt into RLSA and see what's going on there. You don't have to spend a penny extra, but if you do see that it's worth it, then you can to help increase those conversions and those appointments. Whew, so that was a lot. So let me go over the key takeaways, and I'll leave you on a fluffy note, and then we'll pass it back over to Jen for the Google Home. But expanded text ads, make sure you're using them. Okay, the standard text ads are going away. You can't edit them, you can't create new ones, and pretty soon they're going to go away completely. So make sure you're using them. But don't treat them just as extra text. This is a great time to revamp your ads and make sure to go over those best practices. Gmail ads are great for reaching a highly relevant audience right in their Gmail inbox. And this can be a great supplement to email marketing, or if you're not doing email marketing because you don't have that list built up, this can be kind of a form of email marketing. Improve bid strategies, so make sure that you're taking advantage of these automated bid strategies and flexible bid strategies, because Google can do that heavy lifting for you and optimize toward any conversions that you have set, whether that's phone calls or form leads or whatever it might be. Make sure you're making the most of local ads. So make sure you're opt into location, to the location extensions, and you have your Google My Business set up. Finally, RLSA, re-engage with extremely high value audience who has been to your site before but hasn't converted. And you can always start with that zero risk strategy to make sure the ROI is there before you spend a penny more. Now, I just want to end this. This is my fluffy note. The reason that I'm here and the reason why I'm always excited to work with Surefire Local and our partners is because partners are incredibly valuable to us at Google, and they're also incredibly valuable to SMBs like yourselves. Because what we hear from SMBs is they want this human interaction, they want something simple with a clear value prop, they want to see results, They want experts, this end-to-end solution, and this is just quite simply something that we at Google can't provide at the way that we should to every single small business. So the Google partnership allows you to get all the best of Google and all the best of that support, but you get that human interaction and that clear value prop and all of these things that we simply can't provide because of the scale. So what it means that Surefire Local is a premier partner, it means to you that you have full transparency into what they're doing. They are obligated to make sure you understand exactly what's going on in an account. They've held to very, very high standards in terms of quality. They're spot checked by our account managers at Google. They have access to ongoing training and support, as do you guys. So, I work closely with all of our premier partners' teams to make sure that they're getting all the training that they need. They have access to all the latest and greatest betas, like expanded text ads. They had access to that quite some time ago. So they've been in the know about this, and they've been working with all of their clients in order to make sure that's all been implemented. And they have access to the Google staff, so they have that backbone to us. So that's why I'm able here to be here doing stuff like this. They are, very closely connected to what we're doing, and they get that really strategic and tactical guidance from us to make sure that you and advertisers are getting everything that you possibly can from Google AdWords and from the partners. This is really, really important to Google, and especially important to the channel side of things that I work for. So just want to make sure that you guys are all taken care of, and Surefire Local is a great partner, so I highly recommend you at least take advantage of their consultation. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Jen.
Thank you, Jessie. We're going to roll into the exciting part of our webinar where we announce today's winner. So if I can get a drum roll from the team, please. Thank you. Today's lucky recipient of a Google Home is none other than Erin Montesek. I hope I said your name right, Erin. I'm sorry if I didn't. But congratulations, Erin. Please email marketing@Surefire Local with your full mailing address, and we'll ship that Google Home right out to you. Also, all of you who didn't win today, there's still a chance to take home a Google Chromecast. Just send us an email at marketing@surefirelocal.com, and we can set you up for a digital marketing consult and get you that Google Chromecast. So without further ado, we're going to move into Q&A. And Jessie, our first question comes from Justin. Justin asks, is it best to keep your website link and landing pages in paid advertising separate, or to have our paid ads link back to our web page?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and my answer is probably not going to be satisfactory, but the answer is it depends. Sometimes it is best to, I think if you can, it's always a good idea to direct your paid ads to your actual website, because then that allows you to, A, you're directing traffic to your site, which is always a good thing, but B, it lets you in analytics kind of see what's going on and gives you an apples to apples comparison in terms of what's happening with Google AdWords and your ad traffic as compared to referral traffic or organic traffic or anything like that. So I recommend, if you can, link it back up to your specific website, but sometimes it's necessary to create separate landing pages if for some reason you can't have the correct message on your actual website.
So we have a question actually from Erin, and Erin's question is for Gmail ads. The cost per click is when they open the email, or when they open the email and then click on something within the ad?
Okay, so can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, no problem. So for Gmail ads, the cost per click is when someone opens the email, or when they open the email and then click on something within the ad. When does the cost per click come into play?
Got it. So I missed the first part there. Okay, so the actual cost per click comes into play when they expand the ad the first time. So anything after that is, you're just charged that one time. And this, the caveat to that is that you can see everything that's happening. So although you're charged that first time, you can actually see what the expansion rate is, so the open rate, so to speak, and then you can also see what the click-through rate is. So you can measure both of those things, but the charge is going to happen when they expand. Great question.
Okay, this next question comes from Jay. Jay wanted to know, do people have to have a Gmail address to get Gmail ads?
Okay, so Gmail, yes, for Gmail ads, you do have to have a Gmail address because that is going to be, the Gmail interface is where we actually serve the ad. That being said, when we were talking about some of the other solutions where you can upload your email lists, they don't necessarily need to have a Gmail email address in order to be matched in the system. They just need to be signed into Google somehow. So for Gmail ads, yes, they need to have a Gmail address, but for some of the other solutions, not necessarily.
And I have another Gmail question, actually. This one is from Ned. He wants to know, for Gmail ads, can I show ad extensions there?
Okay, so this is an interesting one. So the way that I'm going to answer this has to do with what the ad actually looks like. So with Gmail ads, the thing that's really cool about them and the thing that makes them different than just regular search ads is they're kind of a hybrid between display and search in a way. They're really, they can be really tied to keyword, but they are actually going to be those really engaging display ads. So that means that they're not going to be the text format that we see in search, so we're not going to see any extensions. That said, there can be click to call, there can be, different links that click to different areas of the website, but there's not going to be actual true extensions like you would see in a search ad.
Okay, our next question comes from Kevin. And Kevin wants to know if you have any ideas on how to utilize the space on text ads.
Utilize the space on text ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a really good question, and this is actually a question that we get a lot in a lot of different forms, and especially with the expanded text ads and how that's changed, and there is more real estate now. I would say a few key things are, one, like I said, stay away from generic and keep it really specific. Two, make sure that your main message or the thing that's really eye-grabbing or really compelling is in the headline section, because this is the part that they click on, this is what's highlighted, this is what's going to jump out at them. So include that there. Make sure that you're using all those ad extensions. One other key thing that is hard to kind of pull ourselves away from is, even though we have 50% more ad copy with expanded text ads, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should try to use every character. Sometimes you just, pithy is better. So sometimes it's okay if you leave a little extra space if the message is really clear and has a really strong call to action and is specific to what they're searching. And then my final thought there is, it's very hard to know what ads are going to perform for what searches. So my recommendation would be to definitely do some A/B testing and create different ads. And like I said, you can always set that to rotate to optimize for conversions or optimize for higher click-through rate and quality score. But great question.
Next question is from Molly. Molly asks, is it good to have a specific call to action if the purchasing cycle is longer?
Okay, so this is also a good one, and I would say that this is where you want to, we talked about segmenting those sort of lower value, maybe higher volume keywords away from the lower volume, higher value keywords. So what we tend to see is that when there's higher volume, that's when those call to actions are really critical, because that's they're ready to convert. But if there is a longer purchase cycle, like maybe it's LASIK or something like that, then this is where we probably want to shift the messaging in the ads slightly. So depending on what that keyword is, and if it's a keyword where it is more research based and less ready to purchase, then yes, call to action may not be the right thing. But again, this is where you're going to want to test and see what's most effective, what's getting you those clicks and those conversions.
Okay, and I have one last question. This one's from Geraldine. And it's, does having an incentive lead to a higher bounce rate?
Okay, so it's interesting. So does having an incentive lead to a higher bounce rate? It can if you do not, if they get there and they're not finding what they're looking for, then yes, they're probably going to bounce. So this goes back to one of the questions was asked earlier about where should I link my ads to, is if you can't on your website have a really specific message that's really in line with that specific call to action that's in your ad, then it's best to have probably a landing page, because if you have a really specific call to action, like 2-for-1 frames or something like that, and they click through and they go to your frames page, but it doesn't have any info about the deal, then yeah, you could have a higher bounce rate and you could lose people. So it's really crucial to make sure that that ties directly to what they're seeing when they click through. So excellent question.
Great, and we're at the hour, so I'm going to close things up. I wanted to give a huge thanks to you, Jessie, for the great presentation, and to all of our attendees for coming out. We hope all of you will join us for more future webinars. For details on some of our upcoming webinars, just go to the link at the top of the Surefire local homepage, where you can find more information, dates, and registration links. I'll mention one last time, we're offering a Google Chromecast. That's for anyone who makes it out to a digital consultation appointment. If you're interested, you can just send us an email at marketing@surefirelocal.com. And lastly, hope you'll take a minute to fill out our survey at the end and let us know how we did today and what types of topics you'd like to hear from us in the future. And with that, I'll say my last thank you to you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thanks so much, everybody.